Yo, what's up, guys? Today we have a 2-round mock draft. We are only 6 days away from the NFL draft. I'm super excited, as you guys are. We're gonna go ahead and do this one as a what I would do, and I did not plan any of this, so it's gonna be right off the top of my head what I think they should do. And we're gonna get straight into it here. First up with the Carolina Panthers, I don't think it's much of a decision here. We're gonna try and go through the first round pretty quickly. I'm gonna go with Bryce Young. He's the best quarterback in the draft, and I honestly don't think that any other quarterback is worth 2 first rounds and 2 second round picks or whatever they gave up. So Bryce Young at 1. Apparently canceled all of his other visits outside of theirs. And then the Texans at 2. I don't know if it's smokescreen or not, but I don't think they're gonna go quarterback. I actually believe that with DeMeco Ryans as their head coach, they're going to go blue chip defensive player to kick off his career as the Texans head coach. And I've explored the option of going Jalen Carter, and I think it would make sense, but at the same time, the culture there, I'm not really sure it's developed enough for him to succeed there, especially with some of his character concerns. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's going to matter too much. But I'm going to go with the more safe pick at number 2. I'm going to go Will Anderson. And at number 3, I do think that the Cardinals are going to be able to find someone to trade out with. And some of the teams I'm looking at here would be the Falcons, the Titans, and maybe the Raiders. I don't see the Seahawks or the Lions moving up, and I could see that the Colts stick where they are. I'm going to go a little bit crazy here, and this might be a little bit of a reach, considering the fact that Rand Carthen is a first-year GM, but we're going to go with the Titans trading all the way up to 3, and I'm going to keep their second-round pick just for the sake of this mock draft. Sorry, Cardinals fans, but maybe I can make up for it in another video with the 2024 mock draft for you guys. So we're going to offer something around, I don't know what it's going to cost. We're forcing the trade. I don't really know the value of how much it would cost, but they move up. CJ Stroud fell to 3, and I'm not buying any of the other stuff that's going on. I'm not buying the not showing up to the Manning thing. I'm just not buying it. I think it might be smokescreen, and I don't really care about that test that he took. He showed what he can do on the field in college. He's young. We're going with CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, Derrick Henry, all they need is a wide receiver. Maybe they need some O-line help, so it's not a complete solution, but I like that move up. And then at 4, I'm actually going to go with what I think is true, which the Colts liking Will Levis. And I feel like Will Levis has fallen a little bit in the media's eyes, but I don't think he has in the NFL's eyes. He was in the NFL offense at Kentucky, and he's a strong arm, and he has the potential to be just as good as Josh Allen, and that's something that you may want to bet on, especially with Shane Steichen. He's hoping that he's going to hit there. Seahawks at 5. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys what you want, which seems to be Jalen Carter here, and I think it makes sense. I think the Seahawks can deal with Jalen Carter and make him the prospect that he is and get the best out of him. Lions at 6. I know you guys don't like it, but I'm going Anthony Richardson. I believe it's just the best pick for where they are. They're not going to be this bad for a long time with Dan Campbell and the team they've built. So get the quarterback, let him sit for a year behind Jared Goff, and you might have the best quarterback in the NFC in a few years, and undoubtedly the most athletic quarterback already in the NFL. So there's already potential to start him on Wildcat stuff. So it's not like he's a complete background player for his first year. And then with the Raiders at 7, I've looked at pretty much these 3 players, Christian Gonzalez, and that's about it. And they have Chandler Jones and Max Crosby, and I feel like they're going to try and make that work another year. They could use Peter Skoronski, but I think they're going to go cornerback here. I'm actually going to go and do something that could happen, and that's taking Christian Gonzalez. Who knows who they like more? It's been, more common to go Devin Witherspoon first, but I think it's a little bit more close than people realize. Both prospects are pretty good, and both prospects rose a lot, while Keely Ringo actually fell all the way out of the top 10. I was mocking him up in the top 10 for a while. He's completely out of that now. Falcons at 8. I do believe they need D-line help, and they need a big guy. That's going to be Tyree Wilson. I mean, let's see, he's 6'6", 271. He has massive arms. They could definitely use him on the edge as a 3-down lineman. And the Bears, I've looked at, obviously, I'm just looking at, honestly, offensive tackle here. You got to protect Justin Fields. If Justin Fields isn't your quarterback, you can't give him any more excuses. So get that O-line fixed and see what he can do with a good O-line. And I think that the move here would be to go Paris Johnson, honestly. Although I've gone Peter Skoronski, I'm kind of trying to switch things up a little bit. We're trying to go some things that I haven't seen myself do and that are very possible in reality in 6 days here. And with the Eagles at 10, there's a lot of good players still left here, and I think that Bijan Robinson is a very, 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 very realistic pick here, especially considering the fact that he visited them and one other team, and that's it. And the Eagles, have done their work on him. But I'm not going to go with him. I believe that if Peter Skoronski is sitting here, they should go Peter Skoronski. Keep that O-line super strong. And they can definitely get a running back later in the draft. Or they could trade up from their 31 spot, 32 or 30th spot, and move up and get Robinson if he falls. So, get a Skoronski type player at 10 and then see what you can do later in the draft for that running back. But I would not mind Robinson at 10. At 11 with the Cardinals, this is literally the ideal spot to be in. They don't need to be this high at 3. They trade back, get at least 2 firsts out of it. And, it's got to be Devon Witherspoon here. That's the only right choice there. They get a beast of a cornerback. And honestly, he could be the defining piece of that defense in the future. I really like that pick, and I really like the fit there. At a very, very strong need for the Cardinals. And the Texans at 12, they went with Will Anderson. They're not going quarterback, which means they're going to be trash again. And that means I'm going blue chip prospect again. And honestly, I think that if you went quarterback at 2, you could definitely go Jackson Smith and Jigba. That'd be the best pick. He's by far the best wide receiver in this draft. And I've been saying that for a long time. But they didn't go quarterback. So I still can see them going receiver possibly here. I'm going to show you guys their lineup. And Nico Collins, Robert Woods, and John Mechie could definitely use an upgrade. But I feel like the upgrade there would definitely be outside an X possibly. I could see maybe a secondary upgrade possibly, but I also really like what they did in the offseason with adding Denzel Perryman. Is it Jimmy Ward? Yeah, Jimmy Ward, not Chavez. Sorry. I like Sheldon Rankins there. I do like what they did, but we're going to go Quentin Johnston because he has a better chance at being that X on the outside. They don't have the quarterback to utilize JSN right now, so don't go him and waste his rookie year. With the Jets at 13, it's pretty much a pick they have to make, in my opinion. That's going to be offensive tackle, and I am going to go Darnell Wright here. There's a chance they could have gone Broderick Jones. It just depends on who they think is better, but I think Darnell Wright's a plug-and-play type tackle, and they need that protection for Aaron Rodgers. They're trying to win a Super Bowl. 14. With the Patriots, it's basically edge or defensive backs here for the Patriots. I don't think they're going to go tackle. I don't think the tackles left are... Actually, I could definitely see them going Broderick Jones possibly. But I think it's going to be edge or DB. And I'm going to stick with what I've been going with. And that's going to be Brian Branch to the Patriots. I think he's easily the best safety in the class, and they could definitely use his type of talent on that defense. Him with, Jack Jones, Jonathan Jones, Marcus Jones. I think they brought Jalen Mills back, Adrian Phillips, and Duggar. Max Duggar, that's a pretty solid defensive back now. Kind of fills in that missing piece. And Branch, you can move around. With the Patriots, the Packers, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's what I would do. So I'm going Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's a reliable safety blanket for Jordan Love. That's exactly what you want for his first starting year. I could have definitely seen tight end there possibly, but Jackson Smith and Jigba was the best receiving prospect in this year's draft, so go with that. Help out Jordan Love. Commanders, I'm going to go cornerback here. I know I've gone tackle in the past, and I could see both ways, but I'm going cornerback, and that's going to be Deonte Banks for me. I think he fits their system better, and maybe I did that to let Joey Porter slide a little bit. It's just going to be the basic pick. Fits. They need the cornerback. We're going Joey Porter with the Steelers. And then the Lions at 18, we went with Anthony Richardson. We still need a little bit of help on that D-line. There's a few options here, but I'm going to go Lucas Van Ness. And then with the Buccaneers, if Broderick Jones is here, they got to go with him. That's a O-line that needs some help. Put Broderick Jones in that. Now you have Jones, who could be a high ceiling type player with Tristan Wirfs, and give your starting quarterback of the future a solid O-line to work with, whether or not that's Caleb Williams or Drake May or someone next year. And then at 20 with the Seahawks, I could see them going a number of ways. I could see them going quarterback at 5 and then going D-line here. I could see them going cornerback here, or I could see them going edge. And we went with interior defensive line at 5. And I'm going to go edge here. And I think that if you put Nolan Smith on that D-line with Jalen Carter, with what they have already with Nwosu, Draymond Jones, Jerron Reed, they revamped it entirely there. They have picked 37 and 53 possibly. 52. So they do have a lot of capital. I did a 7-round. I really like what they have with capital. I think they can change their team around and definitely make a strong playoff push. With the Chargers, they have the luxury of going best player available here, and they do need interior D-line help, and that's what I'm going to go with. Now, it's just, whether or not they want Brissy or Kalijah Kancey. And I personally think that Brissy is going to go first. So I'm giving Brissy to the Chargers, and we'll address one of their needs later in this draft. And then with the Ravens at 22, if I'm looking at their roster here, slot corner stands out to me. I think their defense is pretty good shape. Their safeties are in very good shape. They could definitely use a slot wide receiver. Odell on the outside, maybe even, I like Rashawn Bateman at the 2 or at the 1, whatever you would consider that. Their O-line is good. I honestly am considering Robinson. I just don't know, especially with J.K. Dobbins' injury history. I do think they're going to actually bring back Lamar. I'm a little bit more confident that they're going to bring him back and be able to get a deal done. And because of their new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken, I'm going to go wide receiver. But I definitely could see Robinson being on the board there. And at 23 with the Vikings, there's a few ways I could see them going. I don't think any of the receivers left are someone they're going to go with. And if we're taking a look at their lineup, they could use some interior defensive line help, which might be the way we go. They could obviously use some cornerback help, but they do have Andrew Booth, and they signed Byron Murphy, so I don't think it's a bad situation, don't get me wrong, but it's not. It could go without being addressed in the first round. Offense is looking good, but once again, there's been some talk that Dalvin Cook might not be with the team this coming year, so Robinson is once again on the board and in consideration. But with that being said, I think Kalijah Kancey could be the best player available there outside of Robinson. So, to toss up, we're going to go with Kalijah Kancey. Make that entire D-line, honestly, a strength with Davenport being there now. And Hunter, obviously. And then with the Jags at 24, Brian Branch is gone. That's been the pick for a lot of people. I'm actually going to go tight end here. And I've done this a few times in the past, And I'm actually going to go Michael Mayer first. We're going to go Mayer over Dalton Kincaid. And that's kind of the way it was looked at, you know, back in September, mid college football season. And I don't think that's as far out of the reality that people think it is. With the Giants, I think I'm going to stick with the consensus here. And we're going to go John Michael Schmitz. But it's also been assumed that everyone thinks this is the best center. I do believe there's a chance Tittman or Whippler could be considered better centers. But, you know, I'm going Michael Schmitz because I don't really know my centers that well. I'll have to get better at evaluating centers. But I'm just going to go with the consensus there. You know, we're sitting here at 26. Robinson's still there. They could use another player like Mozzie Smith in the interior defensive line. They do run the ball a lot. It helps Dak Prescott. And I like Tony Pollard, but he is coming off of an injury. And so we're just going to go Robinson. He's from Texas. He's staying in Texas. You know, Jerry Jones likes flashy picks. That's as flashy of a pick as you'll get in the draft. And then at 27 with the Bills, I could see them going, you know, interior offensive line. I could see them going wide receiver, but I don't like the wide receivers sitting there right now. And I could also see them going DB. Honestly, they could also go interior defensive line. Like, they don't have holes, but they have positions that they could add depth. I've done this in the past too. I'm going with Torrance. I like that. Protect Josh Allen as much as you can. That should be the #1 priority. And with the Bengals at 28, I'm looking at offense. I'm looking at running back, running back and tight end, really. And I really like Dalton Kincaid, but I'm also not completely sure about Joe Mixon's future with the team. So it's a toss-up between these two. But I don't think Irv Smith is the guy, really. So we're going to go Dalton Kincaid. And I'm in love with that Bengals offense. At 29 with the Saints, I know they need defensive line help. Miles Murphy is sitting right there. I mean, you know, they do have some other positions they could use. They could use a wide receiver. They could use a tight end. I like Darnell Washington. We're going to go Miles Murphy. Eagles at 30. We went Peter Skoronski. And this is where I think I'm considering Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm just going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. You know, fill that offense out. You're filling a hole there. You're not reaching for a running back. And then at 31, I'm going to replace Orlando Brown with Anton Harrison. I also like DeJuan Jones, but I'm going to go DeJuan Jones with the Steelers, actually, at 32. Make that a quick pick. They have Joey Porter now. They have DeJuan Jones. I like that draft so far for them. They have another second. They do. So I know what I'm going to do there. I'm really liking their draft, and I'm going to like it even more when I get to that pick. At 33, we went with Quentin Johnston so far and Will Anderson. Time to get another just best player available type pick, because we don't have a quarterback right now. We have Davis Mills possibly. And with the Miko Ryans, I think he's going to continue to want to strengthen that defense. So we're going to go with BJ Ojolari here. And Will Anderson's going to be on the field most of the, he's a 3-down linebacker / edge player. BJ Ojolari, you can rotate in. Maybe they could have gone interior defensive line there, but I like Sheldon Rankins. So with the Cardinals, we went with Devon Witherspoon at 34. But man, is their D-line absolutely horrendous. So we're going to go D-line here. And I'm going to go with Mozzie Smith. I feel like that's around the range he should be going. He probably could go anywhere from 26 to, 40 or later maybe. But it's a good spot for him. And then with the Colts, with their pick at 4, everyone's focused on quarterback. But man, do they really need defensive back help. Their defensive back, it's weak. Like, I like Kenny Moore. They traded Gilmore. I don't really know much about Isaiah Rodgers. And then Julian Blackman, He's all right, but they need help. Like if any of these players goes down, they're kind of screwed. So we're gonna go, in my opinion, the best cornerback on the board still. We're going Emmanuel Forbes. And I know he's small, but I feel like with the Colts, they could possibly, he could work there. At 36, it's been a common pick to go edge with the Rams. And I don't think that's as much of a lock as it may seem, but I'm going to do it still. And I'm going to go Will McDonald here. They lost Leonard Floyd, which I know he's more of a linebacker, but they played him off the edge some too. And I think Will McDonald can do the same things. So with the Seahawks, we got Nolan Smith, we got Jalen Carter. We're really working out that defense so far. I think that, you know, this draft has worked out really well for them. And if Jordan Addison's still here, we're going to go Jordan Addison. You know, they get their guy. You could put him in the slot for sure, or you can move him outside. That's that wide receiver spot they needed. I like that draft so far for them. And with the Raiders, we went Christian Gonzalez, yeah, at 7. We got that defensive back that we needed. So the Raiders are used, or Jimmy Garoppolo is used to having George Kittle. And, you know, this is a spot where I'm kind of looking at tight end. And George Kittle was good at blocking. Guess who the best blocker is here? It's going to be Darnell Washington. So we got Darnell Washington and Christian Gonzalez. I like that a lot for the Raiders. Hopefully they don't reach like they usually do. That, I think both of those picks are not reaches. They're good value picks. And with the Panthers, who just got Bryce Young, I looked at a few mock drafts for them. I was kind of like stuck here because I look at their roster and it's really not bad. Like, they really did a good job in free agency filling up some of their holes. I like Xavier Woods. I like Von Bell, Dante Jackson, JC Horn. It's actually a solid secondary. Their D-line's looking pretty good. And they added a lot of parts on the offense here. One spot I could see them improving, especially with Shaq Thompson in a contract year, would be linebacker. And I think that, you know, the first linebacker that could go off the board could be any of these 4. But I'm going to go Drew Sanders here. I think that's a solid pick. He could be a potential leader in the future on that defense. So you just got 2 potential leaders for the team, 2 potential captains with Bryce Young, who will guaranteed be a captain, and then Drew Sanders, who could potentially develop. And then we have the Saints at 40. And, you know, some of the players I would have liked to fall to them did not. Jordan Addison would have been nice. Darnell Washington would have been nice. Even Emmanuel Forbes or Mozzie Smith would have been nice, but they're all gone. So we went with Miles Murphy early. And I'm looking at a few positions here. I'm looking at cornerback. And the Saints are really all over the place. I'm looking, Steve Avila would be a potential fit here. I don't really like the tight ends that are sitting here at 40. Some of the DBs, I kind of like Cam Smith. I know they met with him, but not really sure about that. They do need secondary more than people think, though. I've also looked at Keanu Benton, and linebacker is not off the table, especially with some of the ones that are left. I'm going to double up on edge, which I know they're not going to do. They're most likely not even going to stay where they're, at 29 or at 40. They move up almost every single draft, so definitely could be a move up. I'm going to go Adebawore. I think he could possibly be in the middle. They can move him in the middle, keep Miles Murphy on the outside, but there they go. They just added 2 big linemen, which is exactly what they needed, and that's a future to be excited for as a Saints fan. And then with the Titans at 41, they got their quarterback CJ Stroud. Now they should get a slot receiver with Josh Downs. The Jets, they're not going to have... I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this first pick and give it to the Packers. I feel like that's fair for Aaron Rodgers, and I think another future pick will be involved. Maybe even this other second rounder. But they made that trade for Corey Davis on purpose. They moved their third up to a second. But with the Packers, we got Jackson Smith and Jigba. I could really see them going edge here. I could maybe even see them going tight end to help Jordan Love even more. And they do have some secondary needs, possibly safety, but they have a second round pick here. But we're gonna go, best edge available, and we're gonna go Anudike Uzama, and we'll give this pick to the Jets. We'll let them keep it. We went with Darnell Wright, so we got our tackle. I thought they needed linebacker pretty badly, but it turns out they're not as bad at linebacker as I thought. But one spot when I look at their lineup, even in nickel formation, that I'm not the biggest fan of is their safeties. I like Antonio Johnson, so we're gonna go Antonio Johnson there. And I feel like if you put him on the back end of Sauce Gardner, that's a pretty locked down secondary if you ask me. Falcons at 44. We went with Tyree Wilson at 8. This is one of those spots where we could have gone corner up there, but we didn't. And I personally like their offense how it is. I'm gonna go Cam Smith here. So they put him across AJ Terrell. They have Tyree Wilson now on the edge. That secondary looks pretty scary now with Jesse Bates, Cam Smith, AJ Terrell. So I think that fills a need for them. Packers are back up. You know, secondary is an option for them to go here. And they still have Eric Stokes, which they might be, you know, trying to get some use out of. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go tight end. Josiah DeGuara is their only tight end. We're going to go best tight end here, which I think could be either of these two guys. But I think Laporta seems to be a better fit for the Packers. And then the Patriots are up. And we went with Brian Branch at 14, which I really like. I think that defense could possibly use a little bit more help. Even maybe that O-line. Matthew Bergeron here. You know, I personally think that the drop off between these two and then, you know, the rest of the tackles is pretty bad. Might as well protect your quarterback in Mac Jones. We're gonna go Bergeron. And I think that's a very possible pick for the Patriots, at least going tackle in one of these two picks that they have. With the Washington Commanders up at 47, we went DB, I believe. Deontay Banks. It's a solid pick in the first round. One position they could definitely use or upgrade on would be interior offensive line or linebacker. So I forgot that they signed Cody Barton, and I actually really like Cody Barton, so I think we're going to go interior offensive line here. And unfortunately for the Commanders, I don't think they're going to be bad enough to be able to pick up Drake May or Caleb Williams, which I thought they may be originally, but, you know, they're looking kind of decent. We're going to go interior offensive line, and the best one left is going to be Steve Avila. I don't really like what they did in free agency with that offensive line, so maybe Avila will help that out a little bit. And I think this is the right range for Avila. I really don't like him any higher than this. I've seen him go in the first round. I think that would definitely be a reach. And I think this is the first pick of the Lions in the second round. So we went with Lucas Van Ness and Anthony Richardson. So we have not addressed that defensive back spot yet, which could be filled with what they did in free agency technically, but I don't know. I feel like with at least 48 or 55, we could definitely go defensive back. But I'm also looking at linebacker because I really like some of the linebackers left, and they could definitely use maybe some help there. They have Malcolm Rodriguez, and they also have Alex Anzalone, ex-Saint, part of that 2017 draft class. But he has been injury prone. You definitely can't fully bet on Anzalone. So we're probably going to go best player available here. And I think we're going to go Jack Campbell. And then we're back up with the Steelers, who got a first round pick out of Chase Claypool, which was insane value. Completely fleeced the Bears. But we went with Joey Porter. Then we went with DeJuan Jones. I'm once again looking at linebacker. And I like both of these guys. But I also... something about Trent Simpson makes me feel like he's a Steeler. We're going to go Trent Simpson here. I feel like Trenton Simpson, Joey Porter, and DeJuan Jones is a really good draft. And then we're up with the Bucks, who we went offensive line first round with Broderick Jones. That would be a good pick if he falls. But at 50, it's just so hard not to go linebacker again. I'm also kind of looking at defensive back. Because, I mean, if they move Devin White, he doesn't want to be there anymore. and Levante David's on a 1-year deal, I believe. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go linebacker 3 times in a row. It's not really realistic, but who knows? No one really knows what's gonna happen. We're gonna go Deion Henley. There we go, 3 linebackers in a row. And I don't think that's as crazy as it seems, especially with the needs here, here, and here. And the Dolphins are finally up. They got completely fleeced of a first-round pick by some stupid league rule. But they were talking to Sean Payton, and they're trying to steal him from my Saints. So it happens. As far as I know, they need a center, and they could also use a tight end. You know, here, I think Luke Whippler or Joe Tippmann could be possible picks. I would go Joe Tippmann. So there they go. They get their center with their first pick in the draft. And we're back up with the Seahawks, who we went with Jordan Addison, Nolan Smith, and Jalen Carter. Another team where I would be looking at interior offensive line, but not really sure about any of these players. Maybe Luke Whippler, maybe Chandler Zavala, but I think Zavala would be maybe a little bit of a reach. We may still end up going with that. But I kind of like, you know, take a look at this guy's measurables. He's 6'3", 198. That, to me, gives him Seattle Seahawks vibes. I want to give him to the Seahawks. And that defense is going to be one of the most fun defenses to watch in 2023 if this happens. They're going to have Tyreek Woolen, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Julius Brents now. Like, come on. And then the Bears, finally up at 53. They should have had another pick, but they don't. We went with Skoronski. No, we went with Paris Johnson. You know, they got to get some more bodies on that D-line. I'm looking at interior D-line kind of here. I like Keanu Benton here. I was maybe thinking possibly Tuli Tuipulotu. Keanu Benton seems to be one of those players they can sit in the middle of that D-line and keep him for a while. Here we are at 54 with the Chargers. And first round we went cornerback. No, we went interior defensive line, yeah, with Brian Bresee. Could see them going cornerback in the first. But, you know, here's where we go address needs. And this is what I think they should do in real life. Wait till their second round pick. I think they have plenty of options here. They could go Tyler Scott. They could go Jaden Reed, might be a little bit of a reach. Even Trey Palmer. But obviously, if he's still here, I want to go Jalen Hyatt. He gives them that deep threat that Chargers fans know they need. And I really like that offense. I think they're underrated. So there they go. They get Jalen Hyatt and Brian Bresee. I like that draft for the Chargers. And we have the Lions back up. We went with Jack Campbell. We went with Lucas Van Ness. And we went with Anthony Richardson. I'm really liking their draft too. And I looked at their tight end room, and boy, is it trash. I'm sorry. Man, is this... Let's put it in 2 tight end formation. I don't know who either of these guys are. I know they don't use tight end like that. I know they traded TJ Hawkinson away. But come on, you got to give Anthony Richardson and Jared Goff a chance. And you have good tight ends sitting here. So go get Luke Musgrave. That's another receiving option. And I'm not even going to mention the fact that Jameson Williams just got suspended 6 games off of betting in the Lions facility over non-NFL games, which is ridiculous. So maybe they could even look at wide receiver, because that's tragic. You know, he missed most of last year. Now he's going to miss the first 6 games of this year. I was really looking forward to him playing. That's honestly so devastating. Quentin Cephas is suspended indefinitely and off the team. So is CJ Moore. CJ something. Both those players off the team now. They got suspended for at least a year. So it's tragic, it's dumb, but I heard that those 2 players actually bet on NFL games. So we're getting a receiving threat for the Lions. Moving on to the Jags. We got not Brian Branch, who was it? Michael Mayer. I think they definitely go defense at one point here. And I really like Tyreek Stevenson here. Although I could see Keely Ringo sneaking up into this conversation area here, which we might still have him go. But Tyreek Stevenson should definitely be going around this range. Tyson Campbell. Andre Cisco. There you go. You kind of fill a need there, and you get a good cornerback too. And then with the Giants, we went with center, which most people do at 25. But here at 57, we have some options. You know, we could be looking at linebacker, which I do think they need to address. But at the same time, I think that they could wait a little bit on linebacker. I do think they need safety help, DB help a lot. And I think that's the position we're going to go with. We are going to go with DJ Turner. DJ Turner ran a 4.26. I posted that on a little short that I had. It was actually crazy. Fastest 40-yard time at the combine this year. He's 5'11", so he's not super small, and he's super fast. I think that's a good pick for them. You know, they better hope Saquon Barkley comes back and actually plays for them this year, as well as Dexter Lawrence. And then the Cowboys at 58, we went with Bijan Robinson. There's a player here. You know, they need interior defensive line, but I think they could wait to the 3rd round for that. And there's a player here at corner that I like for them, and that's going to be Kelee Ringo, who I think they could move to safety. It's been talked about. Now that franchise guy has mentioned it a few times. I like that for them. Kelee Ringo and Bijan Robinson would be a good draft for the first 2 rounds. And here we have the Bills at 59. We went with Osiris Torrance. I'm not sure who they would pick out of this group here. They could also use maybe a running back, but I don't really think a running back here is a very reasonable choice. They run the ball with Josh Allen a lot anyway. And they have to go with someone that can beat out Gabriel Davis. And I think that Deontay Hardy's kind of more of like the punt returner type guy that they picked up. I think it was Nyheim Hines that returned it twice last year, so maybe they'll go with him. But I think out of the wide receivers that are here, I do believe Nathaniel Dell would be a good fit for them. Although I'd like some of these receivers more as prospects over Dell. I think Dell fits with their scheme and what they need more. And I know we just went cornerback 3 times and then wide receiver. We're going right back to cornerback, which is a spot that the Bengals really do kind of need. Maybe more so safety, but they can move some players around. They got Dax Hill last year. We're going to go, I was looking at maybe Jordan Battle, possibly Anthony Johnson. I'm not completely confident in him yet. And then Garrett Williams, you know, he's off at ACL. They kind of need to win now, so I'm not really sure I trust his health yet. I really do like Clark Phillips. I'm going Clark Phillips. I had him in the 1st round a long time ago, I think in the fall. And I think 2nd round is a good spot for him. So with the Bears at 61, we went with Keanu Benton, Paris Johnson. So we got some trenches players. Kind of looking at best player available. I could see them going running back, honestly. Let's take a look at their running back. They have Khalil Herbert and Travis Homer. So we got a replacement for that interior defensive line. We got a tackle slot. Yeah, no, we got a tackle. I'm actually thinking we might need to address D-line again. I really like Tua Pelotu. I don't think he should have slid this far. We're going to Tua Pelotu. Address that D-line 2 times. They need it. Then the Eagles are back up. We went with Jahmyr Gibbs and Skoronski. Yeah, that's a great draft so far for the Eagles. This would be so unfair if they got away with that again. Jahmyr Gibbs and Skoronski are their picks so far. Maybe taking a look at wide receiver for them. I think I'm going to address D-line though. And I think the player that I would go with here would be Keon White. I keep forgetting he's ranked lower. I might have even picked him higher up. I just keep forgetting about him because Mike Renner has him pretty low. I like Keon White to them there. And I think that's an A+ draft for the Eagles. And with the Chiefs, with the last pick in this 2-round mock draft, we went with Anton Harrison. And here I'm kind of looking at a multitude of possibilities. I think that their secondary is set. I love the players they drafted last year. Jalen Watson, I think that's his name. Yeah, Jalen Watson. Trent McDuffie. Those rookies did so good. I've said that before, I'm saying it again. But I think that they could really use a possible edge replacement for Frank Clark leaving. not really a fan of any of the edge players left here. I think what I'm going to do actually with the Chiefs here at 63 is I'm going to go Tucker Kraft. We're going to have Tucker Kraft sit behind Travis Kelce for 1 or 2 years. Even be that second tight end for a, 2 tight end set, 12 personnel. And let me just run through this real quick with you guys. I think it's a pretty good draft. I'm super excited for Thursday. I'm going to be watching every single pick from Thursday to Saturday, and I will be having, some evaluations of each draft and what teams did. I'm super excited, and obviously there's going to be a lot more trades than we saw in this one, so I'm excited for that too. I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know what you guys thought, and I'll see you in the next one.